Okay, solving a nonlinear inequality. So this is a nonlinear because of why? Why does this say it's nonlinear? Anybody know why? Why is this not linear? Because there's an x squared in it. And why is it an inequality? Because it has a greater than sign in it instead of an equal sign. Okay, step 1. Figure out where this equation actually equals 0. Where does it equal 0? What in the world would I do to figure that out? What kind of math have we been practicing to figure this out? It's the F word. How do I get there? Factor it. Okay. Give me some numbers that make 42. 7 and 6. I need to make a -1. Okay, so x equals 7 and x equals -6. Okay, step 2, place those roots, those are the root numbers, the zeros, place them on a number line. So I'm not going to write 7 and -6 because how would they appear on a number line? -6 would be here and 7 would be on that side of it, right? On a number line sense. Right? You know what a number line looks like? Okay, then we're going to figure out where we want to be. So here is where we want to be. We want to be somewhere where it's greater than 0. So we're going to test each zone. We're going to test the 3 zones. So we can either be in this zone, or this zone. Okay, what x value could we pick that would be in this zone? You mean x value on the number line in that zone? -7. Okay, I'm going to plug it in. Now, here's a couple things you could do. You can plug it in to this to see what it equals, but I honestly don't really care what it equals. All I'm trying to figure out is if it's bigger or smaller than 0. So, in other words, positive or negative. So I'm actually going to plug it into here because it's going to be faster for me. So what is -7 subtract 7? Positive or negative? Negative. What is -7 plus 6? Positive or negative? Negative. What would 2 negative numbers end up multiplying to be? Positive. So that zone would be positive. If I really wanted to, I could plug it in. -7 squared, subtract -7, subtract 42 equals some positive number. I could do that if I want, but that'll take a lot longer. Okay, now let's test a number in this zone. Can you pick a number that would be on the number line? 0. If I can pick 0, I'm picking it. Way easier to do my math. It's the easiest math. So if I can pick 0, I'm going to pick it. Snap of a finger. The equation is what when you're at 0? What happens when you plug in 0?
They just all cancel out, you get 42?
-42.
Negative.
Boom. That's how fast it was. -42. Right? Remember doing that? Plugging in 0. Boom. Last one. Okay, if you forgot and you were like, well, if I just plug in 0, 0 subtract it, negative, or subtract 7 is negative, 0 plus 6 is positive, so that's negative. Okay, give me a test number over here. X equals what would be out on that side? 11. 11 minus 7 is positive. 11 plus 6 is positive, so that number would come out to be positive. Okay, now we can answer the question. Where did we end up being greater than 0? What's greater than 0, positive or negative? Positive, so I can be in this region, or I can be in this region. Here's a question. Can I be exactly on 7 or not? What happens at 7? Exactly when you're at 7, what's happening?
It flips. Well,
You are exactly equal to 0, right? Because look at what happened here. 7 causes it to be 0. What happens exactly at negative 6? Your equation would equal 0. Am I allowed to be exactly 0?
nope.
No, I can't be. So in a graph sense, have you ever heard of an open hole? Do you remember doing that in grade 10 on some of your graphs? You should have learned how to graph with an open hole.
I don't think most of
I don't really know what that is.
I really have no idea.
So basically, this is where I can be. I can be in this zone or this zone. So how do I write that as a domain? Domain. Okay, so domain is X, and we go from left to right. So where is this heading in a left sense? Where is that heading to? Negative infinity up to what X value did I get here to? Negative 6. So because I can't hit negative 6, I have to put a certain type of bracket. Soft bracket. Do you remember that in grade 10 then?
kind of.
Yes.
Then how do I write this as a domain? You're here to there. You always go left to right. So what's this spot? 7, soft bracket, to the right, infinity.
That's the answer.
That's the answer. That's the domain where I can be. That's the domain where if you are there, you're positive. You're above 0. Okay, the next one. So figure out where it equals 0. So I'm going to factor. What style do you have here? Got all your styles? You always got to process this. GCF. I'm going to take an X out. I'm actually just going to figure out where does it equal 0. I know that that's not what the question is saying, but that's what I'll first figure out. Okay, then do you know that you need to keep that X along, right? I get that mistake where people just forget it. It can't just disappear. Multiplies to 18. Okay, so I actually have 3 X values. Right? This is cubic, so there's going to be 3 X values on this one, which are 0, -6, and 3. So I'm going to put those on a number line. Okay, we're going to test some X values. Now we got an extra zone here, right? Bless you. We're going to test some X values in the zones, and then we're going to be asking ourselves, what's going on with the height? What's going on with Y? I'm trying to figure out, is it positive, negative? 0? I don't know. Okay, well, exactly those positions is where the y is 0. And then what's happening in the in-between spots. Okay, so give me a number you would plug in here. -8. Okay, I need to plug it into 3 multipliers. So if this first bracket was -8, that's just negative. The second bracket, -8 plus 6. Negative. The third bracket would be -8 minus 3, negative. What do 3 negative multipliers end up being? So that zone is negative. Negative heights, negative y values. Okay, some digit that's in this zone. -2. So the first bracket would be negative. -2 plus 6, positive.
Does it matter what number you pick? Or
In this zone,
yeah.
you could do anything
Okay.
between that and that.
Okay.
Yep, so did you pick a -4, -3, -1, -5? Yep.
Okay.
-2 subtract 3. Did you think negative on that one? So what does this all come out to be? We have 2 negatives involved there. So positive. That zone is positive. Okay, what do you want to do on the next test zone? We could do a 1 or a 2 or something. I'm going to go 1. So the first bracket would be 1, so just positive. Second bracket would be 1 plus 6. Positive. The third bracket would be 1 subtract 3. Negative. So 1 negative in that number. And like I said, you can actually plug in 1 if you want. If this seems easier for you, 1 cubed plus 3 times 1 squared minus 18 times 1 equals a negative number. Whatever it would come out to be on your calculator would be negative. And the last spot is here. I'm going to pick whatever, 10, something, whatever, anything bigger than 3. 10, positive. 10 plus 6, positive. 10 subtract 3, positive. So all that work, we haven't answered the question. So here is the question. Where are the heights? How do you read that symbol? The greater or the less than symbol? Greater or equal to 0. So positive, I'm looking for positive zones, right? So I can be in this zone and I can be on those points this time, right? Because it says I can also be equal to 0. So I can be on those points and I can be in this zone and I could be on that point as well. So how do I write this interval domain? From what to what? Heading left to right. So this would be from -6 to 0. That's the zone there. And then bracket situation. Square brackets this time. To say I can be on that. Because when I'm on it, I'm equal to 0 and that's allowed. And then this zone, from the furthest left to how right it's going. So from 3 to infinity. This is a square bracket on the 3 because you're allowed to be exactly there. Okay. Do you want me to do another one? I'm not sure if there'd be anything really different with the last one. One more or you're good? One more? Okay. So give me factors right now. Simple trinomial multiplies to 8. So where does it equal 0? Then I went to the number line to test out what's going on in my regions. So I'm going to test some x values, and then that's going to tell me what's going on. So first of all, exactly at -4, what is going on with y? It's exactly 0. It's exactly 0. So, I don't know. I'm going to throw a -7 in there if that's okay. -7 plus 4. -7 minus 2. So those were two negative numbers, and then they got multiplied together. Ooh, something easy in the next zone.
0.
Test that 0. Boom, what's the number when you plug in 0? -8. And then you can test anything above 2. I'm just going to go 10. 10 plus 4, positive. 10 minus 2, positive. Okay, so on this one, we are looking for this answer. Where are our heights? What does that read to you? Greater or less than way? Less than or equal to 0. So where could I potentially be? Less than 0, I can be in here, or equal to 0, I can be on. And that's it, in that zone. So then how do you write that with math language? From what to what? From left to right, domain. From -4 to 2, and then soft or hard brackets. Hard, because you are allowed. Basically, when I look at these questions, as soon as I see the equal to, hard. If you don't see that, they're soft, right? Some of you might have thought, oh, I'm going to get ahead of this. I'm just going to go opposite, plus, minus, plus, minus. Doesn't always work like that, by the way. Okay? And on your, can't remember if it's in your practice or in a review, let's pretend you had this on a number line, a 1 and a 2. What could you even plug in to test then?
0.5.
What's something in the middle of that? Or
1.5.
1.5 you could plug in, right? You can do a decimal plug in on that because you got no other option on that one, okay?